Yeah, that's nice.
What's up, everybody? It's Rev J. It's getting a little cold outside. I'm in a hoodie, and unfortunately that only means one thing. It's getting time to winterize the 66. It's getting time to winterize the HatredCopter. So my winterization procedure is pretty straightforward. I've done it this way for a number of years now, never had a problem. I do know some people have pretty out there, significant, extensive things they do to winterize and then re-season their vehicle every year. I think that's wholly unnecessary, especially for something that gets a lot of use and gets driven. I guess if you have a show car or a trailer queen, obviously the rules are a little different. So with that being said, let's get this thing ready to put away for the winter. So one of the first things I like to look at when winterizing is the cooling system. Now in my case, we're already running a 50-50 blend of antifreeze and water. But if you are just running water, track days, easy cleanup, etc., you want to make sure to go ahead and drain that and add a mixture, or drain back some of the system and just add a pure coolant to obtain approximately a 50-50 blend. Now the reason to do that is that if you store the vehicle over winter with just water in the block and that water freezes, you can damage your block. If that water freezes elsewhere in the system, further in the lines, in the radiator or whatever, you can risk busting the copper core, damaging a cooling line, sometimes even damaging your thermostat. Antifreeze is what? $6 a jug, even cheaper. It's cheap insurance that for the winter you're going to be good to go. And the worst thing you have to do is in spring, if you're worried about it, dump it out, refill it with water and water wetter, and you're good to go. The next priority is the fuel system. Leaving today's modern fuels in the system over the winter, you have the tendency for gelling, gas gets old, crap builds up in your lines, especially if it's a long time in between storages, and you run the risk of damaging the injectors, having clogged injectors, clogged fuel pump, and shit like that. Easiest thing I like to do to prevent this is some seafoam. Most of you guys have used this to put in an oil change, put in your vacuum system, clean out your emission system, whatever. It works great for everything, and especially putting in as a fuel system treatment, I always like to do it. I've already filled up with a full tank of gas. I'm just going to go ahead and add about half can, if not a little bit more, of the seafoam, and that's going to protect my entire fuel system and all my lines. So with a good coolant mixture and the new fuel system treatment in, we can go ahead and start the engine, probably for one last time this year, and let it run for 10 to 15 minutes. Really the idea is to get a good circulation of that fuel additive through all the lines, all the injectors, and anywhere the fuel touches. And you also want to make sure the engine comes to temp to circulate any additional coolant you added, making sure your 50-50 blend of coolant and water is evenly distributed throughout the engine. Let's do it. Oh, this is always the loud part. Okay, so now that we've effectively filled the whole garage with lots of unburned hydrocarbons, and it smells wonderful in here, I can move on to the next part of the procedure. Now, winterizing the interior of a vehicle is almost just important as winterizing the exterior of the vehicle. With your new carpets, sound deadening, all that stuff you worked so hard to put in. Last thing you want to do is come out next year to find it is molded, full of insects and rodents, eaten, destroyed, whatever. The fix for this is super simple. The first thing is straightforward. Close any foot vents, cigarette vents, courtesy windows, back windows, whatever your specific vehicle has to prevent anything coming outside in. Now in this case, in the 66 C-10, we have little foot vents by your ankle. Make sure those are closed. Stuff can come up through the footwells very easily and make a new home in your car. So what do? Well, the best way to prevent mold, insects, rodents, moths, all that, is to make one of these. Now this is just a little cardboard box filled with charcoal and a dryer sheet. Why charcoal and a dryer sheet? Well, insects and bugs don't like dryer sheets. I don't know if it's the smell, if they chew them, whatever. They will not want to come near these.
The other thing is the charcoal. The charcoal will help suck extra moisture out of the vehicle. Now, my truck has new weather seals, but a lot of you guys, especially with original cars, classics, you're not going to necessarily have the best weather seals. And if you're anything like me, your garage isn't that great, it's not insulated, you're not doing your vehicle any favors. So by doing something like this, 3 charcoal briquettes and a dryer sheet. What is this, like 12 cents worth of shit? Put one of these under a seat. I like to put mine in between the 2 seats in the center console right here. And when you open your car up for the next time the next year, there's no insects, there's no mold, your car is nice and dry, and in my case, has a pleasant lavender scent. So the mechanicals are done, the inside's done, there's just a couple things left. And one of those usually addresses these guys. Now, back before steel-belted tires, leaving a bias ply car sitting on its wheels for a long period of time would have the tendency to flat spot. You'd roll the car out the next time that year, and wherever you parked it would be a flat dead spot in your tread. You'd have to get a new set of tires, and it sucked. Well, thanks to, the past 40 years of technology, that's not really a concern anymore. Very rarely do I ever hear about anybody complaining about having flat spotted a set of tires with these. What I do like to do, though, is I always go ahead and make sure I have my tire properly inflated, usually towards the max PSI, especially if you have any slow leaks on mag rims. All I want to do is make sure I don't ever run the risk of pinch flatting myself by having the tire go dry and having the weight of the vehicle, be supported on the creased edges. Some guys also choose to go ahead and do the tire with a tire dressing to try to keep the outside of the rubber soft. This is mainly a problem if you're the kind of person that doesn't put a lot of miles on your vehicle and wants to prevent sun cracking and fading on your tires. In my case, we go through these pretty fast, and so I don't bother doing that. I just make sure they're fully inflated, and then I leave them. And this includes those big Mickey Thompson DOTs on the back. I don't do anything special for those. I've done it for 2 years now, leaving them just how they were, flat on the ground, max PSI, nothing special, and I have yet to flat spot a tire. So, the inside's done, the mechanicals are done, the tires are addressed. There's one last thing we gotta do before we can say goodbye to the HatredCopter for this year. And here is that last part we're talking about. This is a simple, single-ply car cover. Now, there's a lot of specialty fit covers available for some of these classic cars, and they're extremely expensive. All I did was go to eBay, find the generic car covers. There's a million different ones out there, and I found one that was for a mid-size to small SUV. Now, the biggest difference between this and a true fit car cover is that the regular true fit car covers would come down over the back cab wall and fit the pickup bed flush. In my case, you have a little bit of a sag down area because it doesn't come down and fit the back of the bed wall. It continues like there would be an SUV there. I don't think that's a big deal. It gives me enough room to throw crap in the back like I do. I have my road kit, extra tires and things that I throw in the back when I store it. So in my case, that's no big deal. And the best part of all, I think this is only like 25 bucks. So the mechanicals are done, the interior is done, everything's been winterized, the cover's on. That's it for the HatredCopter this year, guys. So there's always more coming from REV J. I'll have more shoe reviews, more coming up on this despite the fact that it's being stored more on Sandwich's car. A lot more to come. As the door comes down behind me, we'll see you next time on REV J.